Here we are. We're at Big 12 Media Days in the Dallas and Fort Worth area in Arlington at AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys. And speaking of home of the Cowboys, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. And off a vacation and headed to another one to cover the Cowboys at training camp in Oxnard.
Don't be lying to people to make it sound like training camp vacation.
Your suitcase will consist of two things. No, maybe three. And I'm not sure underwear is in the conversation. A T-shirt, a bunch of T-shirts, and shorts, and flip-flops or tennis shoes. Paul, correct me.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got a toothbrush. But, yeah, I mean.
Get one of those at the hotel front desk. You can get that.
And maybe a ball cap if it ever the sun gets too bright, you know.
Yeah, and of course the sun and bright and Cowboys and the shine and all whatever else. What do you really believe when you enter this training camp? Jerry and Steven and of course McCarthy will have their press conference or whatever. What are a couple of things that you think they must know by the time that they get through Canton, Phoenix, and everywhere else in between until they start the season?
Well, they've got to figure out this defense. I expect this offense to be really good. If you think about it, over those first 5 games last year, Dak got hurt late in the third quarter of that 5th game. They were averaging 32 points a game, and they could only go 2 and 3 because the defense was giving up 36 points a game over those 5 games. So to me, this offense can be pretty explosive, but the defense has got to help out, at least be average. So I'll be looking at, I think, David, there's going to be a lot of competition on that defense. Defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, corner. No one better have a bad day or 2 days in a row because you may not only get eliminated from the 53-man roster at the end, but you get eliminated from a starting spot. So I think the competition is one of the things I'm going to keep an eye on, especially on defense.
Mickey, we've talked about this before, and the defense right now, I mean, you know who about 5 starters are going to be, probably, but you could maybe argue that you might just know 3, right?
I'm thinking DeMarcus Lawrence is a starter. Randy Gregory's probably a starter. Trayvon Diggs is a starter. And I think everything else is up for grabs. You know, I didn't mention the linebackers, right? Well, okay, you've got, Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith coming back, but you also took a linebacker in the first round at the 12th pick with Micah Parsons, and Jabril Cox falls to you in the 4th round, and then you added Keanu O'Neal, who they're saying, it was a safety in Atlanta but can play linebacker. So I'm thinking no one of that group better have a bad day. And I don't think anything's set in stone on who's in the middle, who's on the weak, who's on the strong, who's on the nickel. I'll go with 3 because the cornerback position. They drafted 2 corners, the 2nd and the 3rd round. Anthony Brown, they signed to a 3-year deal last year. They like him. Jordan Lewis might be the slot guy. But again, I think things are up for grabs. And again, better not have a bad day.
Mickey, I know a lot of people are excited because the offensive line should be rejuvenated with the returns of the likes of Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, et cetera. But those guys, as another year goes by, Tyron Smith's just another year older, and that goes for the rest of the guys. So do you feel like they're in better position should something like what happened last year strike them again? Are they better equipped on the O-line to as best they can make up for those potential losses, or is it a situation that's just identical, I guess, opposed to last year?
Yeah, I don't know that they can sit here and say, yeah, we got those 3 guys back and we're set, because I'm not sure what's behind them. Now, Tyron Smith And Youngkin, be careful with the older thing. He's 30, right?
Right. Well, hey, I'm older than him, so yeah.
And so he'll turn 31, I think, at some point in the year. But again, you get him back. That's a Pro Bowler at left tackle. You get Lael Collins back, who was on his way, I thought, after the previous season to a Pro Bowl year last year and missed the whole year. And Zach Martin misses 6 games, and you had to kind of mess around with him all year, moving him to tackle a couple times. But get those 3 guys back along with the quarterback, and I think the offensive line from a starting 5 is solid. Now, the key thing is, who are the backups?
Right.
Because, and to me, Craig, if this happens again and they lose one of those starting offensive tackles, there's no messing around. Zach Martin's got to go out to tackle. They can't be messing around with guys, undrafted guys, rookies that weren't drafted, and putting them there in starting spots. I would rather take my chances with Zach Martin at tackle, and then maybe Connor McGovern comes in and plays the guard spot, which he did at the end last year. But they waited too long to make that move. So there'll be competition for that backup offensive tackle spot. They brought in Ty Nsekhe. Brandon Knight and Steele started last year, so we'll see. I don't know how successful they were, but maybe with a little experience, they can compete for a backup tackle spot. I think the backup guard spot with Connor McGovern is pretty strong, but they got to figure out the backup center spot. So, again, more competition. And I think that's going to be the bottom line in this training camp, is the fact that there's going to be a lot of competition. And let me add this, you guys, that defensive coaching staff has changed. So there's no brother-law going on like, well, you know me, coach. And no, you're going to have to prove yourself all over again, from the defensive line to the defensive coordinator to the linebacker to the secondary coach.
You mentioned the young corner, Paul. Who's the young?
Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs with us as a starter. My question for you is, if you don't know the other ones, is that a good or bad thing? Does that mean there's competition, or does that mean you don't know if you have? Not that there's not guys who can play, but is that good or bad?
I don't know good or bad, David. I know that the competition will be good. Now, they can start Anthony Brown, and in the off-season workouts, he was the other starter at corner. Kelvin Joseph's the second-round pick. A lot of people thought, well, there's a walk-in starter. Well, he's got to compete for a starting job, and he missed some time during those OTAs and mini camps. So nothing's guaranteed there. Same thing with Jordan Lewis in the slot. They drafted Kelvin Joseph in the second round, Nashawn Wright in the third, and he was a guy that raised some eyebrows during the off-season workout. So, again, nothing guaranteed. I like the fact, though, that Anthony Brown brings some veteran leadership to that group, because they really don't have anybody at that cornerback spot that's been around the block as a starter.
I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. The possibility that if things don't go well early, and I'm not one of those, I'm not a clicks and views guy, but let's just say things get off to a rocky start for whatever reason, injury, or they just don't play well. Who on that staff, and would it be Dan Quinn, that if it got into the year, and I know how Jerry is about mid-year and all that stuff, would Dan Quinn be the one who could be an interim head coach because he's been one before? Or do you go, hell no, let's go with Kellen Moore and see what happens?
Yeah, I would think. I don't know about changing gears like that 5 games into a year, but that would be the logical way to go. A guy that's had some head coaching experience. Mm-hmm. Another guy that's been around the block quite a bit. He hasn't been a head coach. George Edwards, the linebackers coach, has been a defensive coordinator around the league. Has been with the Cowboys before. They know him. I don't know if Kellen Moore is ready to run the whole show He's done a really good job with the offense, coordinating it. But again, that sounds like a click thing, David, that we need to drink a beer over.
Yeah, and I hope we get a chance to do that in California during camp at some point. I know it's kind of a crazy schedule with who can be there early, and then they go to Canton, and then, of course, they have other things, including Phoenix and also much more. All right, so what did you do? The what seemed like 5 or 6 weeks you weren't available. What, did you go to Chicago? Where did you go?
We live in Texas, right? Got to get out of the heat. I spent a week in the mountains in Colorado.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than a week, because after the 1 week, I spent a couple days in Telluride. But I made somewhat of a mistake. I'd heard all about, and I only been there one time overnight, but I went to Moab, Utah. It's supposed to be beautiful, right?
Uh-huh.
It is. National parks, the rock formations, but it's in the desert. It was 100 degrees.
Oh.
That's like, you idiot, and it was like, but a good thing the beauty kind of overweighed the heat that I walked myself into. But it was neat. It was a neat vacation. And so when it gets that hot, you'd be reasonable, right? Instead of hiking and biking, you do a lot of drive trips through the national park.
I'm looking at a picture of the national park with the mountains in the background and those structures, the rock formations.
The arches, as it says right here.
That's too much of a word for it. It's right in front of me, and I'm trying to find.
The formations, the arches,
Man, that is pretty.
Mickey, I wish you knew what we dealt with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of distractions there, right? With the Big 12 meetings going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, hopefully, we hope to see you within the next 2 or 3 weeks at some point, and then we'll discuss that over whatever alcohol, drink, Diet Coke, whatever we have. Okay. Good luck, man. Have fun.
Yeah, I'll make sure I put a sign up to reserve you a spot in one of those tents. Okay.
You got it. Thank you, Mickey. Mickey Spagnolo.
All right. See you guys.
DallasCowboys.com. Camp starts. They fly in Tuesday the 20th. Start the 21st. A week ago yesterday. A week from yesterday, and then, it's kind of interesting because they have these days. They have kind of a weird schedule off the start. Mm-hmm. And then they have that extra. Are they playing 5 preseason games, Paul, because of that? Is it 5?
No, I think it's 4
Still
now.
4? Okay.
Well, it was 5, and now it would be 4.
You're running on fumes, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm out.
So just